The Lucky and the Unlucky. Benson, the green LSWR0298 class tank engine, was a proud and private engine on the Northwestern Railway. He took great care of his polished paintwork and prided himself on his strength. However, he was also known to be boastful and sometimes rude to the other engines, especially Toby. One morning, Benson was waiting at Knackford when he saw Toby trundling into the yard with Henrietta. The tram engine looked as cheerful as ever. Sniffed Benson. I don't understand why the fat controller keeps an old tram engine like you around, Toby. You're slow, square, and rattly. Hardly useful for a proper railway. Toby wasn't bothered. I may not be fast, but I know my limits, he replied kindly. Thomas was nearby and overheard the conversation. You should be careful, Benson, he warned. Toby may not look grand, but he's saved the railway more times than I can count. Benson just chuckled. I don't need saving, Thomas. I can handle anything. Later that day, Benson was assigned to take a long line of trucks to the docks. He smirked when he saw Toby waiting at a junction. Watch and learn, Toby, he called. This is how a real engine handles trucks. Toby only smiled and rang his bell. Benson set off with a confident puff. The trucks rumbled behind him. He climbed Gordon's hip, they began to pull back. On. They giggled mischievously. Benson's wheels slipped. He tried to hold them back, but he had taken more than he could manage. Help. He wailed as the trucks pushed him down the other side of the hook. His brakes squeaked, but it was no use. At the bottom, the points were set against him, and with a great crash, Benson ran off the rails into a muddy ditch. Silence followed. Then, a familiar bell rang. Toby had arrived with the breakdown train. Well, he chuckled. It looks like the unlucky tank engine needs some help from the lucky tram engine. Benson groaned. He was covered in mud, and his pride was dented more than his buffers. The fat controller soon arrived. He looked at Benson sternly. You have let your pride get the better of you, he said. You should have taken fewer trucks and listened to Thomas and Toby. You must learn to be wise, not just strong. Benson felt very ashamed. With great care, Toby and the breakdown crew worked together to get Benson back on the rails. By the time he was back at the shed, He was too tired and embarrassed to say anything. The next morning, Toby was waiting at the yard when Benson puffed up beside him. I suppose I owe you a thank you, Benson mumbled. And I'm sorry for what I said. Toby smiled. That's all right, Benson. We all have bad luck sometimes. Thomas rolled in and grinned. See, I told you Toby was useful. Benson chuckled, feeling rather foolish but grateful all the same. He had learned an important lesson: luck alone wasn't enough. A wise engine knew their limits and listened to good advice.